Before we start, you need to read your owner's manual and note that there's a Schedule A maintenance plan for normal operating conditions. There's a Schedule B maintenance plan for more extreme conditions, for example, off-road driving, towing, desert operation. Base your fluid changes on how you operate your vehicle.
Hi, welcome to John's Jeep Garage. Today we're working on a rear axle Dana 35. This happens to be on a 1998 Jeep Wrangler TJ. So in the owner's manual for the 1998 Jeep Wrangler TJ, in Schedule B maintenance, it says that you should change your differential fluid every 12,000 miles. We are going to be using a 75W-90, but we're using Valvoline full synthetic. And if your differential has limited slip or not, it will comply with all the correct additives, and we'll show you this in the video. Besides that, we're going to have a little bit of a bonus feature at the end. We decided in doing this that there was a lot of rust on the cover, so we ended up buffing out the rust and just using some rattle can Rust-Oleum black paint to cover it. Not part of the core video, but just something on the end in case you want to see what we did. Thank you for watching.
All right, you'll need yourself some paper towels, you'll need rubber gloves, brake cleaner, you'll see in the video how to use it. You'll need a ratchet. I have a Milwaukee and the regular ratchet set. Simple green, wire brush. You'll definitely need some scrapers, a flathead screwdriver to open things up, a cheater bar because those bolts may be tight, and a torque wrench. We'll have more details in the video, but we chose to use a Fel-Pro gasket versus RTV. The first thing we're going to do is clean around the fill plug. Here is an example of what the fill plug looks like. It's located on the right side of the Dana 35. It's rubber. I like to clean just so I can see where I'm prying with the screwdriver and trying to carefully just pull it out. Okay, you're trying to position the flat part of the metal screwdriver under the lip of that rubber cap, and then you pop it off. As a reminder, make sure that drain pan is underneath. I'm just taking a look at the fluid itself to see if it's cloudy or if I notice anything. On a Dana 35, there is no drain plug, so you're going to have to remove the 10 bolts on the cover using a 1/2-inch socket for this project. Leave the top one loose, but so that it can hold the differential cover in place while you're trying to use a flathead screwdriver at the point of the seal to open it up and start to drain. Once it starts to drain all the way, you can remove the top bolt. So I want to carefully just pull out the cover and let everything drain. Now, depending on how this cover was installed, there's either going to be RTV like this one all over the edge where the cover was sealed, or you may have someone that has a gasket. In this case, we're going to use the brake clean around the edges, and then also hit a little bit inside just to get that fluid out of there. And really, we want to inspect everything. The next thing we're going to need to do is scrape all of this RTV off, and as you can see as I'm pulling it, there's just some that kind of squeezed in on the inside. Once you're finished, just in case anything did fall on the inside, you want to make sure you clean very well, not to leave anything hanging out inside. Once that brake clean evaporates, I like to make sure there's nothing left on the edge and also focus on cleaning the cover the same way.
All right, so what I did, and I'll show at the end of the video, but I ended up grinding down and painting this differential, which isn't really part of my video. I can show you what I did at the end, but I let it sit for a day so that it would cure. And I also put in took the current bolts and just also buffed out the ends to try to remove as much rust as possible, and painted these as well. And then I also am going to keep this plug because it's must have been replaced at some point in time, and it's in pretty good condition, so I won't use the new one I bought. But I am not going to use RTV. I'm going to use the Fel-Pro seal made for this differential, and I'll show you how this works. There's a lot of advantages to this, and I'll talk about that. So I use that Fel-Pro as I shared, and I like it because, number one, it actually fits perfectly. I don't have to worry about RTV evenly distributing it around or around each bolt head, making sure I have the right amount. And then when you squeeze it on, you're going to have some excess squeezing out. This applies easily, and once you torque everything, fits snug and have not had any leaks yet. Now with the RTV, when you remove it, you got to go back and scrape it off. But when you remove this, it's made with materials to where it doesn't heal, where you'd have to peel this off. So there are some advantages for using this type of gasket.
Okay, I get my gasket lined up with the 10 holes, and if you notice, the cover itself, the fill hole, will be on the right side. I put a bolt in the very top as I'm just holding it, just to kind of keep the gasket in place. I'm going to slowly position it over the differential itself, but I'm going to use another bolt to just slowly, one at a time, make sure it's aligned. Now, can you imagine? So I know it's people use RTV all the time, but with the Fel-Pro gasket, it is so much easier, so I'm not worrying about spreading the stuff all around. And then I just hand tighten all the bolts in, and then we're going to have to go ahead and torque them in. It's about 30 foot-pounds. The specs say 30 to 40 foot-pounds. I put them on like I put a tire on, where I'm going not one bolt right after another in a circle. This is more of a crisscross pattern. For example, 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock. All right, so get your drain plug, get your fluid, get your pan under the differential, and let's start filling. I got some partial bags, but using that 75W-90, it's going to take about 1.8 quarts. Now, if you're using your Jeep for towing consistently, you will want to put 75W-140 in there instead of the -90. Though I'm using the bags, some people use a hand pump and pump it from different containers, and it's easier for them that way. These bags for me are very convenient, and I just squeeze them all the way in the hole until it starts overflowing back. All right, just dry a little bit here, just make sure it's not overflowing out, and then I'm going to slowly add part of this other bag until it starts to overflow into the drain pan. There it goes. All right, so I'm just going to let a little bit flow out. You don't really want to overfill it, and then I'll just go ahead and put the plug in, clean everything up. I'm going to use some simple green, and then I will test drive it and monitor it for leaks. Don't forget to wait until our bonus feature at the end. Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap. Just a couple points on this video. Number one, again, we did not use RTV, but you can use RTV. Many people do it. Just make sure when you seal all the way around, you seal around the bolt holes too, so you get a nice coverage across, torque all the bolts evenly. And but with the Fel-Pro that we used, we like it because one is when you replace it again and you have to take the cover off, you're not going to have to do any scraping of the old RTV. It does get a uniform seal, and another benefit to that is that it's made of non-adhesive material to where you won't have to grind or peel that off as well. So that was our choice to use. Again, you have multiple choices on a different type of seal, but hopefully that helped. The other thing is that we just used Rust-Oleum engine enamel. There are some differential cover paints. This one is gas and oil resistant. And again, it wasn't to be professional, powder coat from that aspect. It was really just to help a stop measure on the rust. It just to inhibit the rust from getting even worse than what it was on that cover. All right, well, thank you for watching.
All right, thank you for watching. This is really just to show you what we did. So you started off with that rusty cover. I wanted to make sure all the RTB was off, cleaned it very well. Then we needed to get the grease and oil off it. So we used brake clean and then we wiped it down, both inside and on the outside, of course. Next, we use a cutting tool with flap disc. It's like sandpaper that really helped get the rust off, and we use a drill with a wire brush. Once it was clean, we just started spraying it with Rust-Oleum, but you know, it takes a time, and really you need about 24 hours to cure. And this one was gas and oil resistant. Can't forget about the bolts, so I went ahead and cleaned the RTB off of those. You have to do that anyway, but then started kind of polishing or buffing the heads for paint application. We also went ahead and painted the tops, just put the bolts in some styrofoam, and again we allowed that to cure as well.
So on a differential also, I cleaned this up. There's a tag. Usually it can be on your axle or it's attached somewhere to one of the differential bolts or both. On this tag here, you can see that the 52111-760 is a dealer code. The 5993-1 is bill of material information. The 307, that's the gear ratio of this 1998 TJ rear Dana 35. Typically you might see a 373, 488 or whatever on JKs, but that's what the tag information is all about. And this AB, quite honestly, I don't know what AB stands for, but normally you would see maybe like an L-S, and that would refer to limited slip. I'd have to look up that AB to understand what that is, but this is a tag identifier for your differential, and sits there, stays with it, and changes only if you make some changes to that. Thank you.
We appreciate you watching our channel. Thank you.